Hey guys, welcome back. Do you know what today is? Yeah, guys, today we're talking about Back to the Future. And that song, it literally gives me chills every single time I hear it. It's the best. It brings back all these awesome childhood memories. What do you think, Justin?
That's right. It's right. We're so excited to bring this to you because one of the things about, Ralph and I is that we have this huge love for many things. We have many things in common, and one of them is the movie Back to the Future. So we wanted to dedicate everything we possibly could talk about Back to the Future in a single episode, share that with you guys. We hope that you join in on the love for Back to the Future. And we've been talking about this. That's kind of what One Up Weekly is all about. It's about talking about amazing things in our childhood, like Back to the Future, all things retro.
It's all things retro, right?
That's right. We're here to share it with today. We got a lot to cover. We got a lot to talk about. A lot of different subjects. We'd like to hear what you think about the different parts of the movie and the scripts and the things that have happened in the last 35 years about Back to the Future. But first things first, Retro Ralph.
Yes.
How was your weekend, buddy?
I don't know, because right now I'm in the DeLorean and I'm actually flying down the street, but Doc is like sitting there on the clock tower and he's trying to put the goddamn cable on. All right, hold on, sorry. Okay, so much tension, so much pressure. Come on, Doc.
We gotta do it. We gotta do it, right?
We're gonna make it. We can do it.
The lightning's about to strike.
I know we can do it. We got it. All right. So anyways, I'm so excited right now that we're doing this tonight that I can't even talk. So yeah, no, this weekend I'm gonna kill the music. Yeah, it's crazy. All right, I'll never do anything. So so this weekend was really cool. We went up. Kim and I went up to Flagstaff, Arizona, where we're actually gonna get married. So you guys don't know we're engaged. So that's really cool.
Yeah, congrats. Man.
Yeah, thank you. So we went up and you know that we were going through some of these things. I'm going to make this really quick. We were going through talking about with the wedding planner, like things that we want to do. And Kim's like, okay, like you can ask her about the thing. And I'm like, okay. And I go, well, am I able to bring a couple of arcades up there? And she's like, arcades, like kind of arcades. And I go, yeah, do you guys have power if I were able to bring arcades? And she's like, absolutely. So, and Kim is all behind it. She is totally cool with it. There will be, thank you everybody who said congrats. So we will have a couple of arcades at the wedding. So I'm pretty stoked about that.
That's right. And we'll be going 88 miles per hour all the way to Flagstaff. Okay, so first things first, Ralph, we're going to be talking about Back to Future, and we got kind of this outline of all these ideas of things that we want to talk about, and Ralph, let me ask you a question. Let me start with this. Back to Future, I know, was something that was great about your childhood. I was 5 years old when I first saw Back to Future. It's the first movie that I remember seeing at the theater. How about you?
Back to the Future was one of those like childhood movies that it just got me. It was one of those things where there was something about the whole movie that like it introduced me to this like fantasy world that like somehow I believed could be true. I put like Purell in a bottle and called it plutonium. I mean, everything possible. I remember taking really quick. I remember taking the tubes out of my fish tank that blow bubbles, and I put it in a jar of green soap and called it plutonium. Like I just was hooked. Like I loved it. I don't even know why, because it didn't bubble in the movie. I don't think anywhere, but I was like, plutonium should bubble. I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, no, I loved it. I loved it.
So right, like years later, right? And you're a father now, like me, and you have two children, right? I have a child.
Yeah.
And so you have to introduce your children to movies that were meaningful to us. Hopefully these will become meaningful to you. So let's just, of course, you introduce your children to Back to the Future, but how old were they? Like what's the right time to introduce Back to the Future to a child?
My daughter, I introduced her when she was five or six, maybe. It was either 5 or 6, and she was totally into it, totally loved it. My son, probably around the same age, and we would almost, now they've gotten older, so they're not as interested, but it was almost like every month maybe we would watch it. Like it became a movie that was part of their rotation. You know how your kids probably had movies that were like part of their rotation, right? Like they would always watch certain ones, and Back to the Future was one of those ones. And I want to hear a little bit more about how you introduced your daughter, but then I want to share this other really cool thing that I incorporated my kids into that they were like actually excited to go to.
Yeah, for me, it was very similar to what you were saying. Prior to Evelyn being my daughter, she's about at the time we introduced Back to the Future when she was 5 years old, 5, 6 years old, somewhere around there. And it was a big buildup, right? Like we had told her, okay, you're gonna watch this movie. Prior to that, she watched cartoons and things like that, but never like a full feature film. And so yeah, we introduced her when she's about 5, and it was this big thing. Hey, tonight we're gonna watch this grown up movie, but you're old enough to watch it, and it's a really really great movie. And I remember sitting down, kind of explain the time travel concept, kind of get her ready, and then boom, she watches it, and we get through the whole thing. And it was kind of like she's 5, so we're like cuddling on the couch. It's like this dad daughter thing. It actually really started this thing of me and her going to see movies. It's kind of
Okay.
like mom comes too from time to time, but sometimes specifically mom doesn't come, just so that it's like this daddy daughter time. But anyway, she looked at me after the movie and she's like, "Yeah, yeah, Dad, that was a great movie." Like
But she
just
liked, so she was into it.
she's totally into it, and she's huge Back to the Future fan to this day. And we're gonna get more into that later. Some of the other things that we introduced our children to, um, that kept Back to the Future alive, right?
Yes. So let me tell you about this because this is really cool. So and keep in mind, I had no idea this existed. So it was around the time, it would have been 4 years ago now. It would have been 4 or 5 years ago. They were doing a bunch of stuff around the country and around the world really for the 30th anniversary. And I caught wind. I had to cover Denver for work. And I was like in the airport or somewhere. I can't remember if I was in the airport or downtown. And I saw a poster and it said, Colorado Symphony Orchestra wants to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Back to the Future with you. And I was like, shut the heck up. Because I was like, what is that? So I'm reading the
Right.
poster and it said they're going to play the movie on a big screen and all of the music is going to be by a live orchestra. I was blown away. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm looking at like, how can I get my kids there? We got to go because I live in Arizona. And when I told the kids about it, they were like, like they didn't care that much. Right.
That's right.
But when we were there, it blew their freaking mind because first of all, they were like, "Oh my gosh, they're playing the songs from the movie." I was like, "Well, you realize
Right.
that it was an actual orchestra
Right.
that played the real music. It was just recorded and then dubbed into the movie." And they were like blown away. So
Yeah.
it was super exciting, and everyone that was there was a super fan. But Justin, the coolest part is intermission comes, everyone gets up, whatever. We go back to our seat. It's super dark, and they get into the second half of the movie. You don't see the conductor yet, and then all of a sudden, the light shines on the conductor, and the conductor is dressed as Doc Brown. And I was like, and everyone, literally,
Nice.
people flipped out. So if you ever get a chance to do this, if you look it up, they do still do these around the country. Like if you have a chance to do it, dude, it was like one of the coolest moments. And for my kids, I could have never taken my kids to an orchestra. They would have had no interest in that. But the
Right.
fact that it was a movie they loved and it was like being played to, they lost it, dude. They loved it so much. It was the coolest
Yeah.
thing I've ever been to, dude. I was like blown away.
Yeah, that's absolutely awesome. We're gonna jump around here in the timeline, if that's okay. If you guys can follow the timeline a little bit, we're gonna jump around. So Joe mentions a joke about toilet paper, which is really funny, but I meant to hit this new thing in the news is this Tom Holland, Robert Downey Jr. in the Back to the Future deepfake, and honestly, in the last couple days, there's been a lot of stuff going on in the Back to the Future
Yeah, it's like
kind
back in
of
the news,
fandom
right?
world. That's right. So both of us, we're big fans. So we're like, man, we should do a video on this because there's a lot of topic about it. It's 30. This is the 35th year anniversary for Back to the Future. So in this summer, it'll be the anniversary, and we'll see what happens. It could be a lot of cool, fun things that they do about that. But if press one in the chat if you've seen the deep fake for with Tom Holland and Robert Downey Jr. because boy, is it good. Like it looks really, really good. And there were some articles on it online about there's articles and there's interviews where actually like Tom Holland was interviewed and they asked him a question like, "Hey, have you thought about, reprising the role or not reprising, but being a part of the Back to the Future reboot?" And he's like, "We've had conversations about it. There's been conversations about it." But he does say, it's a perfect movie. So why would you go back and try to, make you can't really make it much better. But what do you think, Ralph? What's your thoughts on this? on
So
the whole
okay,
thing.
you and I obviously had talked beforehand,
Hmm.
and I had told my initial reaction. You kind of changed my mind a little bit. My initial reaction is, "Oh my gosh, it's going to ruin the legacy of the movie. It'll be terrible. Like they shouldn't do it." But I'm a little bit maybe more open to it, but because you kind of said to me like, why, if they make a newer version, does it ruin the ones in the past? And so my initial thought was, there's another trilogy or whatever, not trilogy, but movie series I love, and it's Terminator 2, Terminator and Terminator 2. And I felt like both of those were great movies. But I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's the way I take it, but I feel like after Terminator 2, like I don't know what happened. Like maybe they should have never made another Terminator after Terminator 2. I was actually pretty satisfied with the way Terminator 2 ended. There was always that wonder of like, okay, Arnold literally fell into lava and the chip was supposedly destroyed.
Right.
So like
So
he's probably dead. But I never felt that connection to any of those other ones. But then you told me, you're like, well, what if they did an amazing job with the casting? If they
right.
took it seriously and just did an amazing job with casting, then I think it could happen. By the way, Justin, I think you can just put your mic up just a little bit, like put the
Like
volume on
turn
the
it up.
mic up just a
All
tiny bit.
right.
Yeah,
Sounds
just a
good.
tiny bit.
All right. I'll do that. Is that better?
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's the interesting thing. Like I'm totally for. I'm actually for a reboot, like a reboot number 4 of Back to the Future, and I'll tell you why. I don't think, to be honest, I'm going to say something that, again, huge Back to the Future fan, but I have to be honest. And on this show, we be honest. That's what we do. And Back to the Future 2, I love it. Back to the Future 3, I love it, but they're not as good as the first one.
No,
Let's
no way.
be honest. The first movie is perfect,
It's
and the
perfect.
second movie is not as good as the first. And the third one, I know it's our baby, it's our childhood, but the third one's not good. Like it's just not as good. And there's so many plot holes in number 3. Like number 2 is about a paradox. Like literally that was what they were going to call it, right? And
Yeah.
it works because there's a paradox. But like literally at the beginning of Back to Future 3, the whole concept is, hey, Doc, you're going to die. So don't worry, it's not going to happen cuz I'm going to go back to 1985 and save you. The entire movie could have been solved by him going, "Hey, in the future, don't do that dumb thing that like kills you." And the movie's over. Like literally that's it.
Yeah.
The movie, like, because literally the last 2 movies are training you as an audience to understand the concept of time travel, and something that happens in the past or your past can affect your future. So Marty simply showing Doc that in the future he's going to die, it's like now he won't die because he won't do that. And
Yeah.
yeah, as a child, I didn't think of that, and that's fine. It's no big deal. Again, I'm not trying to rant on Back to the Future 3. Like, I love the movie, but it's kind of fan fiction. Like Back to the Future 2 and Back to the Future 3 are fan fiction.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Robert Zemeckis completed a story. Bob Gale, they completed a story, and Universal was like put a gun to their head basically and said, "You have to make a
Yeah.
second and third one," and they're like,
Well,
"Okay."
so speaking of that, so Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis, I always get his name wrong. It's Zemeckis.
Yeah.
They both said like, there's no way while they're alive they're ever gonna make any more. Like basically, like, I'm sorry guys, I don't care what you say. There's no chance it's happening. So I mean, if it were to happen, I think there would have to either be because they seem pretty adamant. They've said it years upon years upon years later. So they'd have to be pretty adamant and somehow shut that down. But it seems like they're
Yeah.
not about it at all. But
If I owned Back to the Future, I would say the same thing. Because then the other person has to give me more money.
well,
You
okay.
would
I mean,
never
if-
ever say, "Yeah, maybe in the future I'll sell it." No, you like say, and then the big executives come and they start seeing Star Wars made $1 billion and Sonic is on its way to make hundreds of millions of dollars. These reboots are making a lot of money if done right. Universal or whoever wants to take
There's a
on the
comment
rights
in
to-
there. There's actually 2 comments. I have to get to one first. So Zohar had
Go
a
for it.
super chat. Thank you, Zohar. But there's one I want to make sure I get to as well. And I hope I don't lose it. But Zohar, yeah, to Zohar, 2 was the best. 1 is okay. 3 is okay. But like, I think it matters. I don't know how old Zohar is, but like me being 40, the first one I was introduced to,
Yeah.
and think about it, I was about 5 when I watched it, because it was probably like 1986 that I watched it, maybe, because I was
Mhm.
born in 79. So like,
Mhm.
first one is the one that just like did it for me. Plus, I just
Right.
think the movie's amazing.
Well, that's the
But,
thing. Like I'm sorry, Zohar, but number 1 is better because they don't teach Back to Future 2 in film school, but they do teach Back to
Yeah,
Future
that's true.
1 in film school, so scientifically it's better. And that's the thing. But let me take it another point, right? Like some people, even there's someone that said, yeah, money talks. It's a really
And that's
good
the
point.
comment I wanted to get to. It's true.
And if they could make a lot of money off of a movie, it's probably because it's going to be good. So if they try to make a reboot or another movie, it'll only work if it works. And I've talked to other people about this. And then once you unlock that it could work, you start to get on board. And that's the idea we talked about earlier today.
Yeah.
And someone in the chat was saying it as well. What if it's they discover the DeLorean? Like there's kids, or it's Tom Holland is like has nothing to do with Marty, has nothing to do with Doc. And
Yeah,
he
like
goes,
a different, like an alternative storyline or something that maybe isn't necessarily tied as a fourth one or something.
right. So they see this old DeLorean, and it's I don't know. It could work, and it could make a lot of money, and it's kind of fan fiction, and I'd go see it, and I'd be entertained. And isn't that what movies are all about? Just being entertained, and not this whole like drama on the internet of yes or no, they should make it or shouldn't make it. It's like
so I think there's a lot of people like and because Rhode Island has spoken. So Rhode Island, who Mike represents, Mike single-handedly represents. I don't think we have anybody else that watches the show. It's from Rhode Island, and I'm from Rhode Island. So the state of Rhode Island has said, no, Justin, you're crazy, and there's not going to be another one. So the state of Rhode Island has single-handedly told you to stop.
To be honest with everyone in the chat, if I agreed with everyone in this would be a really small short video, right?
We're done.
Like you need someone like me to be like, hold on, let's have a conversation and let me tell you the other side of it. Like I empathize with everyone in the chat who disagrees with me because I was there yesterday, but I've been enlightened, and now I'm trying to enlighten you.
Okay. But anyway,
because I literally just went, wait a second. What if they did do it? And what if they got the right cast? Come on, just honestly believe. Let's do a vote.
Okay, don't say this. We know
Shia LaBeouf as Marty. Everyone's gonna say no, right? Shia LaBeouf.
Okay, dude, that is ridiculous. So like, yeah, that was talked about at one time, right?
Yeah.
Like, please tell me that everyone in here, no one would support Shia LaBeouf.
No one would support it. But the moment, yeah, Shia, no, right? The moment you're like, what about the Spider-Man guy, Tom Holland? Like, now you're like, you kind of want to protect. You kind of want it. Zac Efron was another good one. I saw that one a couple of years ago. The Zac Efron was like, yeah, that could work. But okay, fine. If no one wants remakes, fine. No one wants remakes, right? But Tom Holland would be a good Marty. Like, let's just imagine it for a second.
You're getting rocked on the deep fake. People think you're being manipulated by the deep fake.
I'm being manipulated. I think we're all being manipulated.
Says the Rock as Marty. He'd fly across the car windshield and it would dent.
It's the Rock as Doc. Have you heard that one?
No, come on. No, the Rock can't be Doc. If you smell what
Paul,
Doc is
Paul
cooking.
agrees with me. Paul agrees. Like, look,
dude, the Rock. No, Justin. Okay, I need to stop right here.
Second.
The Rock can't be Doc.
It would be amazing if Eric Stoltz was in it, though. Eric Stoltz as a cameo in Back to the Future 4 would be amazing.
The Rock is Biff. Now, the Rock could be Biff, maybe.
Because what if
you smell? No.
What if? Come on. What if it's not a DeLorean? What if it's a Tesla?
Wait. Mike from Rhode Island's good with the Rock being in the movie. What role does the state of Rhode Island think the Rock should be? Because that's ridiculous. Come on, Rhode Island, get it together. Smell what Doc is cooking.
No, I get it. Look, the reality is Back to Future 1 is the best movie that was ever created, and then there was 2 sequels after it with the same name. And
wait, if the Rock was Biff, could Kevin Hart be Marty? Kevin Hart as Marty, dude.
Here we go. I know. We it's fun to talk about this because the reality is they're not going to make a remake. They're not going to do it. Like, I know that. It's not like me and RetroRalph are going to change the internet because, first of all, you got Robert Zemeckis saying he'll never do it. So that's a thing that will, okay, you got to convince him. And then if they honestly did a trailer to test or, make a tweet or something that went viral to kind of test the market, everyone's going to say no. So it's never going to happen anyway. But I think it's fun to talk about.
Yeah, it is. But okay, so we got to move forward because I
Move
think it
forward.
is. But like, there's been so many things to whet your Back to the Future appetite over the years. The one
Right.
that I watched not that long ago, which was cool, it like literally broke my heart as it did make me happy. But it was that the documentary called Back in Time. So
Yep.
the whole documentary was showing the state of the DeLorean at the Universal Studios backlot. And I can't remember, again, we're not experts at Back to the Future. We're just big fans of it. And there were several cars and they had versions of the cars. There weren't that many that they made for the movie, but there were enough that they had different ones. And I can't remember which one ended up on the lot, but that car got completely destroyed. And in the movie, they're showing like people stole parts from it. Like it was completely annihilated. And it was really sad to see. But the movie is all about these super fans that have DeLoreans of their own. One guy has the Back to the Future 3 car with the big white walls, and it's such a cool movie because these are fans that restore the car, and they do such an amazing job of it. But it's weird. Like the movie gave me goosebumps. It opens up with this scene where they have like a drone filming a DeLorean from like a top, like a, from the sky, and it's the model that had ran on I think it's the plutonium model because it has the hook going into the flux capacitor. But it has this like acoustic guitar version of the theme song. It's cool. It'll give you goosebumps. The opening will give you goosebumps. And the movie does talk about, they talk about, they have Bob Gale and Robert, and they talk about like the movie being a perfect movie,
Yeah.
they interview all these people that are like, yeah, it's the perfect movie. But the cool thing is just to see how many super fans there are of the movie. Like it's such a crazy, I don't know, like there were so many of us that were somehow inspired by this movie that it's a really cool movie. If you haven't seen the Back in Time documentary, go watch it. I think I put links in the description to like the DVD or the Blu-ray to it. But
That's
go
right.
watch it. It'll like get you so pumped up for Back to the Future again.
That's right. I love the concept of Back to the Future being a perfect movie. Watching some of the commentary and the documentaries over the years, as a software developer, I've been in positions where I've been kind of a lead role in software development. And I would use Back to the Future as an example because we would literally do product development in the same format as Back to the Future. Like the name Back to the Future came from them, just throwing ideas on the wall, right? Like they would put them on these little cards and then stick them on the wall. And so remember, the premise of the entire movie started with just the simple idea of what if it's that scene where Michael J. Fox, or originally Eric Stoltz, is looking at Crispin Glover. They're both 17. It's a kid seeing his dad, and they're the same age. And they're like, okay, so great. How do we make that scene happen? Well, it has to be time travel. So how do we build a time machine? Oh, well, let's make it out of a refrigerator. And eventually it turned into, let's make it into a car, and so on
Could
and
you
so forth.
imagine though how much less popular the movie would be if the time machine was a refrigerator? I just don't think it would have had. Wasn't there also a scene? There's a scene in some documentary somewhere where it was like Bob Gale was talking about how originally Ford came to them and wanted the time machine to be a Mustang because
Right.
Mustangs were super hot at that time. Like
Yeah.
remember the Mustang GT, and like my stepfather has this saying he used to say when I was a kid because I told him I want a Mustang. I'm gonna edit it. He's like, kid, Mustangs are like buttholes. Everyone has one. And that was true in Rhode Island. So Mike, the representative of Rhode Island, like if you were Italian and you lived in Rhode Island, like you had a Mustang. Like it
Right.
was like almost like you gave birth and they're like, we're gonna give you this Mustang for your kid when he has his driver's license. Oh. So but anyways, I don't even know where I was going with that. What was I talking about?
We were
This is
talking
one of
about
those
Back to the Future. So anyway, yeah, there's
Oh, we were. Oh, that's what
yeah,
we're talking about here. Oh, thanks, Justin. Thanks. Check. We're talking
yeah,
about Back to the Future.
yeah. So like the movie, the name Back to the Future came because once they figured out he has to go back to the past, they have to have a conflict. And what's the conflict? What's the challenge? How are you going to get to the future? You're like, okay, so he's got the car, but he can't get back to the future, so he's
Oh, I
trapped
never
there.
said the time. I never said the quote.
Do the quote. I thought you did.
No, Bob Gale goes, there's no way. He actually swears, I think. He says there's no way. He's talking to like someone at Comic-Con or something, and he's telling the story. He's like, there's no way that Marty McFly, he said this to the Ford representatives. He said, there's no way Marty McFly is going back to the future in a effing Mustang. Like supposedly that actually was something he said to Ford representatives,
It's like
which is
not
really
happening.
funny.
Right. So that concept of doing product development in the format of Back to the Future has been been said and done by a lot of different places is this concept of just throwing ideas on the wall, and then you have to connect the dots because these are the peaks of the idea that must be in place, but then you have to figure out how to construct a situation where that will happen. And it's a lot of fun to do. And so, like, as a child, as I went through these documentaries, I would learn these, and of course these would become a part of me, when I went into, enterprise development and stuff like that, these companies, and start working with them. And I'd say, let's talk about Back to the Future, and let's talk about how we're going to build this product. And so that's my little story about that.
I love that. The Retro Junkie 420 says the behind the scenes of Back to the Future is hilarious. So if you get any of the special edition DVDs, I have links to some of them down in the description, but a lot of them have all these really cool behind the scenes things about the movie. There's a bunch of things, like if you go look on YouTube, there's what you didn't know about Back to the Future. A lot of people, like fan inspired and all sorts of things, have put these really cool things together. So you can pretty much spend like days upon days on YouTube just talking about Back to the Future. But the other thing, Justin, so there was the back in time thing just recently.
Right.
One of the things that's crazy, so there's a statistic I looked up that was crazy. So as of March 2017, there's 87 known DeLoreans that have been converted to Back to the Future time machines, like actual ones that have been converted.
Wow.
And I guess they have to be qualified as full conversions. Like you can't call it a conversion unless it is one. So there's 87 real conversions around, I guess it's worldwide, which is really cool. But then I guess there was another stat I didn't realize. There's some of them actually are conversion kits where there are other replicas that don't count as the 8 into the 87 count that didn't use a DeLorean as their base. They used another car, and they referenced something called a Bricklin SV1, and I have no clue what the heck that is.
About that.
Yeah, I have no idea what a Bricklin SV1 is.
Okay, RetroRalph loves modding. Let's mod a DeLorean.
Let's mod a DeLorean. On this episode, we're going to mod a DeLorean.
Yeah, I remember like in 2000, let's see, I lived in LA, 2000.
You want to see what a Bricklin SV1 looks like?
Let's check it out.
It actually kind of makes sense that you would mod this. So hold on. All right, I got to stop the share. Let me put this back on. Yeah. Give me 1 second. This actually kind of makes sense that you would actually use this to mod a DeLorean, though. Look at it.
Oh my!
Right?
That's like
I didn't
like
know what this car was.
That, and then you turn it into a DeLorean.
But it has the same. It actually looks like it has the same rims as the DeLorean does.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool, actually. I didn't know about this. If you guys knew about this, let us know. But I didn't know that this car, this Bricklin, I mean, it actually, is it by the DeLorean Motor Company?
I wonder.
Because that looks like it says D.
Oh, interesting.
That looks like it says DMC.
I don't know. We'll have to look into that.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that. If anybody knows, let us know.
Silver. Yeah, so when I was, it was like 2005, I want to say. I was in LA and I was driving. Let's see, I was like working, right? So I was driving by, I was with a coworker, and all of a sudden we saw a DeLorean, and it was at, like a car dealership. And we go in, and, we had just come off of a trip, so we had a little, we were poor. We didn't have a lot of money, but I had like $5,000 to my name or something like that, completely had been saved up from a, like a work trip that we did where we made a little money, and he had it as well. And they had a DeLorean for $10,000. So we were sitting there going like, if we take our entire life savings at this point at 25, right, we could share a DeLorean. And we were like, both of us were married, and we're like, yeah, our wives are going to kill us. But to this day, like a couple of years ago, I was like looking for DeLoreans, and they're like 10 times that. I don't know. It was something like $30,000 for a DeLorean now, and it's like,
okay, Justin,
that was a couple of years ago. I bet it's even more now.
There's two things in the
DeLorean timeshares.
There's two things in the chat that are going to get me pumped up. One is Rhode Island's on fire. Mike from Rhode Island's on fire because he said the Reboot would be a Tesla, and you actually said that in a phone call today. I don't know that a Tesla makes the grade, but it would make sense in today's cars. But this other thing is awesome. This is cool, and you totally are making me like. It would be really, if all the Back to the Future games didn't suck so bad, it would be really cool to make a Back to the Future. Well, there is one that doesn't suck.
There is one game that doesn't suck.
Before we get to the game that doesn't suck, though, let's talk about how many games there have been that have come out.
Okay.
So there's so let's just talk about how many platforms they've had Back to the Future games on: the Commodore 64, DOS, Amiga, NES, Super NES, Sega Master System, Sega Genesis, iPhone, iPad, And then there's the FX3 pinball machine. There's the original pinball machine, and that's not even all of them. So there's so many games, but the one that's good is that Tall Tale Games one. What's funny? Something's happening. You're laughing. You're either laughing at me.
Super chat from the best Stranger Films. I bet you guys didn't know. I think he took his wallet guy was actually played by a young P-Dubs.
I think he took his wallet. I think he took his wallet. That's awesome. That's pretty funny, man.
Tears to
Thanks
my
for
eyes,
the super
man.
chat. That's actually really funny.
Yeah, that's right. So Back to the Future was one of those huge, licensed stories that they were just kind of throwing it on everything. And unfortunately, at least in my memory, none of those games were good back in the day. I'd rent them. I'm sure.
Angry Video Game Nerd did a bunch of videos on them. They're really bad games. I mean, they're really, really terrible.
Like they just, threw them together as fast as possible and threw them on the market. And I remember playing a handful of them, and you couldn't get past the first. Like it wasn't enjoyable to even try to get past the first.
Although
stage.
we just got
much as you.
We just got a message in there that said Brad says try, and I don't think I ever played this. Try Super Back to the Future on Super Famicom. So are you guys saying? And there's actually another comment that says Back to Future 2 on Super Famicom was decent. So the Super Famicom. So should I get this? Like, is this something that we should get and try?
Yeah, I've heard about this before. I know the it was either Super Nintendo or Sega one wasn't bad, wasn't horrible, but yeah, I heard that the Famicom had a better version. It's a different version. Is that right, guys? It's a different version than the SNES version or SNES version.
Yeah, someone let us know that, because
cool, man.
It's good. Maybe we can do a stream on it someday or something. That'd be fun.
Yeah, let's stream that game. That'd be fun. But
so we're talking about the game. What game is good? Because you're saying there's a game that's good.
Basically,
I know what it is, but
basically it's Back to the Future 4. Like if you love Back to the Future and you kind of wish there was a Back to the Future 4, but you didn't want it to ruin your childhood, then just go play this game, because it's basically Back to the Future 4. Imagine Back to the Future 4 where it starts out and it's 1986 and the DeLorean all of a sudden appears, but no one's inside it. And inside there's a tape recorder, and it's Doc, and he time traveled. And he explains that when he time traveled, he made the DeLorean so that if he doesn't make it back to the time travel because he got into trouble, it will automatically time travel to Marty to have him go save him.
Return to Marty mode. That's pretty cool, man.
And so this is actually the plot of this is actually the plot of a video game by Telltales, right? That came out in 2015. What's the name of it? It's like Back to the Future.
I think it's just called Back to the Future for the movie, or I can't remember. Actually, I put it in the chat. I can't remember exactly what it's called. That's cool.
Yeah. So both Ralph and I have both played this game. I played this with my daughter. We beat the game a couple times.
I'm looking it up while you talk.
Fantastic game. We played it on iPad, but it's actually available on like Xbox and PlayStation. So let us know who's played this game. Like, I'm hoping to see a whole bunch of zeros. I mean, be honest. Like,
Justin, it's just called Back to the Future, the game. And the new
Back
one
to the Future, the game.
Yeah, and they came out with a 30th anniversary edition. I don't know if that's actually different. I don't think the one I played was called the 30th anniversary edition, because I played it before that. So this may be slightly different. And actually, it looks like they had it on the Wii too. They had it on the PS3 and the Wii and the Xbox 360. They had it on everything.
That's right.
I didn't know they had it on all those platforms.
We're getting mostly zeros. Hit one if you did play it. Okay, so we got Dragon Gamers played it. Like, it's a really good game. Like, it's kind of a story mode game, but like there's challenges in it that are a lot of fun, of course. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, is Christopher... Okay, so here's why it's a great game that you may not know. Like, Robert Zemeckis actually, or is it Bob Gale? Which one of them? One of them executive produced the game. Like they helped create the storyline. Yeah, it's the Telltale game. They helped create the storyline. So it's totally like authorized Back to the Future storyline game. And when they talk about it, there's like articles on it, and the guy even says, like, if we were to make a Back to Future 4, this is loosely the idea for the number 4 games. This is the closest you're going to get. Or this is, if they were ever made a movie, I'm in.
Oh,
Um,
sorry, Justin. I was just obsessively looking to see if I could pick up the Super Famicom version of the game.
you go.
Dude, $249. It's boxed though. Oh man,
Well,
that's a
yeah,
lot of money. Dude, Sean, that's a lot of money, man. $71. It's actually coming from Japan. It doesn't
yeah.
look like, yeah, I wonder if there's any, I could probably find a US based version of it somewhere, I bet. Now I want to play it. Holy crap, someone wants $614 for it? It
Jeez.
says it's in excellent condition though.
Yeah, you might want to just test it out. You know what I mean? You got the Super NT, right? You can sideload that baby, and then if it's really good, you're gonna buy it anyway. So you get to try it before you buy it. He will own
Well, it
this
looks
game.
fun.
Just watch.
I know that Sean wants me to do it. Normally, I'd be that impulsive, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
All
Unfortunately,
right, all
Sean, I'm
right,
sorry.
all right. Let's. What else we got? So yeah. So if you guys check out, and in fact, recently Ralph did a podcast with Adam Korlick, which was really good. If you didn't check it out, he you linked that on your YouTube, right? I think you made like a community post
Yeah,
on it.
I did, and then there's a Twitter message on it too. I can put it in the chat. I
Yeah,
mean, in the
but
thing.
Adam Korlick did something really cool about 5 years ago. What he did was he actually took all the scenes from that game, the Back to Future, the game, and made it into all the cinema scenes and makes the movie. And he calls it Back to Future 4. So it's like Adam, if you
I gotta
look up
see this.
Adam Korlick Back to Future 4. I watched it. I watched his version years ago, and it was great because it was like the editing is pretty good. Like he makes it look like it's just an animated movie. I mean, he did the best job
Okay.
he could do. You know what I mean? Because it
Yeah.
is a game, and he's basically playing the game. He played the game and made all the different options happen. So that must have taken him a lot of work. But in the
Yeah.
description of the video, I remember it saying like, I did all of this. It's my work. I mean, he doesn't own the rights to the game or anything like that, but he's trying to explain like he's not using anyone else's source material. Like it's his flavor of the movie or whatever because it has a lot of different storylines you can go in, right? And it was
Yeah.
really good. It was kind of you can kind of sit back and relax and watch it
So,
like it's a cartoon.
all right. So we definitely have to check that out. Someone said that they thought the interview was
Mike is
good.
not my
So
friend today. I don't think so.
yeah, well, us Rhode Islanders, we stick
Like,
together.
look,
So
look,
us,
Mike.
all two of us.
We were not going for clickbait on this. We literally made a thumbnail that says our episode today is going to be about Back to the Future, and you clicked on it and you're watching it. What do you expect us to talk about?
Don't you think it's funny how like with our episodes that we do, I feel like there's always like one standout chat person that like just like gets highlighted a lot every show. It's usually someone slightly different, which is pretty fun, which is why I love this platform. But hey, there's another thing that I want to talk about that's also Back to the Future focused, and I want to know who's been on this. So Justin, I know you must have been to Universal Studios as a kid or as an adult, and at some point, did you ever ride the Back to the Future ride at Universal Studios?
Absolutely. 1992. I was 11 or 12 years old. Yeah, 11 years old, and I think I went several times. I was like, let's just go again. I don't care. Let's wait in line. Let's go again.
Yeah.
How about you?
So I did, and I loved it. Like it was so cool. I never got a chance to bring my kids on it. So for those of you who don't know, the ride was in Florida, it was in California, and it was in Japan. I think that was it. I think in these states it was replaced by Simpsons, which is a really big bummer. But Japan had it running all the way up into 2016. So it closed in 2007 in the states, and then in Japan it closed in 2016. But man, dude, the ride was cool as hell because you walk through like Doc's laboratory, and then Biff breaks in, and I loved how you had to like you were in the mouth of the T-Rex, right?
That's right.
It was really cool. It was really cool. And then the other thing that was really neat is it was that screen was like a dome, right? It was a dome screen. The only thing I wish they would have done, it would have been so cool if they kept it open and then redid the whole thing in like 4K or HD or whatever. Like it would have been, because honestly, you could have updated it, right? And kept it current. It must have
if they made a new movie,
oh, shut up.
then they could make
Oh
a new
God.
ride. No, I'll tell you a quick story. Like my wife's story about Universal is when she went, also in the early 90s, she had a little brother, and when they went, the little brother was like 5 years old, right? And he thought it was real. like he had a hard time separating fantasy and reality.
Wait, who thought it was real?
Her 5-year-old little brother.
Oh, so
And
sad.
so like so they went on the ride, right? And then afterwards he was like, "We're so happy the T-Rex spit us up. We almost died."
Oh, that's sad. How
But they
old was
had
the kid?
like 5, right?
Oh
And
man.
so they had to explain to him like, "No, that wasn't real. That was a ride. We're at Universal." Anyway,
Well, Adam's dad thought it was real, so
that's
and he's
right.
an adult grown man thought it was real. So
That's
it's like,
right.
holy shit, we're being eaten by a real dinosaur.
Yeah.
But imagine that ride redone in today's tech. I mean, it would have been freaking amazing. I mean, it was cool then. It was really cool then. But I just always thought, oh man, if they redid it, it would have been so cool. But it's a bummer to see it closed. But I kind of get it. I don't know. I think that had a long run. If it went from 91 to 2007 in the US, that's a pretty long run.
Yeah.
But dude, speaking of Back to the Future, this is crazy. There's a freaking musical overseas. There's a
right.
Back to the Future musical, and it opened up February 20th of this year.
Are we
Like, that's
going?
nuts.
Like, get your
Well,
plane ticket. Let's fly.
where I don't know, where is it
It's
actually?
like
I don't
in
know where.
Manchester or something.
Yeah, that's not happening.
No. No, but come on, they got to bring that to the States, right? They're just trying it out in the UK, right? Is that what they're doing? Like, okay, like I would go, right? If it was local. Earth to Ralph, come on.
I don't even know what he's talking about. Wait, if it was local, would I go to it? Yes, absolutely, I'd go to it. I would 100% go to it if it was local. 100%. Yeah. I don't know what the LOL's for.
Yeah, I have no clue.
I don't know because oh, dude, come on, no. We cannot. Come on,
Mark has already been banned from the show. He keeps coming back. I don't know why he's still here.
Mark, I give that comment one twig. If you guys watch his channel, you'll understand that he gives twigs as, like, I think, right, a twig rating because it's Mark Twig Jones. Yeah. Anyways, all right. Okay, we're all going to the musical together. Yeah, that's gonna work. That would be one messed up plane ride. I can imagine. We actually have enough people in the chat right now to fill a plane. So all 142 of us are going to go on a Southwest. No, it wouldn't be Southwest. We're going to go on some plane. We're gonna get all our money together. Can you imagine how weird it would be if we literally were 142 people to fill this theater of the musical? And they'd be like, "Where did you guys come from?" And be like, "Well, we came from the internet. Like, we just came from the internet."
This is a big fan group, right?
Yeah, we would be a weird plane. But the plane, we'd have to go, all right, you're going to stop at all 50 states. I'm assuming that we're representing most of them. We probably aren't. We're probably representing more of the coast. But yeah, and then we'll go. We're doing it. We're doing it. It's done. Yeah. Or maybe we could take a cruise ship. We'll actually leave out of Florida. We'll go to Universal Studios for the day, and we'll leave out of Florida on a cruise ship.
Well, Zohar here, he's in love with you, Ralph, so much that he says that he would pay for your ticket. I mean, I think he already is with all these super chats.
I think he probably has. This one says the plane would have one-ups. Yeah, maybe. We could fit one-ups in a plane, so that'd be pretty good. Wait, I live in the UK. Oh, wait, hold on.
Wait.
Oh, Retro Junkie 420 lives in the UK.
You got to go, and then we'll have you on the show, and then you can tell us about it.
Yeah, report back, dude. You have to. Will you go for us? Retro Junkie 420. Your task is to go to the show and tell us how it is. That's right. You can be on the show to tell us what's up. I think that's awesome.
That's right.
Plus, your name's Retro Junkie, so you have to be cool.
Yeah.
All right. We got a super chat from Stringer Films. Thank you so much. Instead of covering Chuck Berry in the new movie, do you think Marty will sing Jerry Lee Lewis's "Whole Lot of Shakin' Going On"? That would ruin it for a lot of people, I'm thinking. That would ruin it for me, at least. That's right.
See, that's a good example of why now I'm going the other way, right? How a remake wouldn't work, because if you're going to do that iconic scene where he invents rock and roll, works perfect in the 80s. Here's this kid, plays guitar, super popular in the 80s to be a guitar player. His biggest guitar, god that he worships is Eddie Van Halen. He goes back in time and basically introduces, the Eddie Van Halen solo to people and says, I guess you guys aren't ready for that, but your kids are gonna love it. I was handing that off to
you. You were handing it to me. Okay, no, I was obsessed with this Partycades comment because it said Partycades for airplanes, and it made me think of that conversation I had with you about the Partycade. Remember how I told you, like, we would do a skit where the Partycade was stuck on the wall and it was really bummed out because it wanted to be part of the party, but it was always stuck on the wall.
We actually thought this because I live in Iowa, and this winter, when we had this conversation, it was snowing, and I live near where there's hills, and I have a partycade. So he's like, okay, you take a partycade, right? And if you guys don't know, the partycade has feet.
I really wanted to do this, by the
And
way.
so
Like, I
the
was
feet-
serious.
The feet they kind of look like little skis, right?
Yeah, it looks like the party
And
cave. is
so
ready to
he
go
was
skiing.
like, it's hanging on the wall and it's depressed and he wants to be free. So we'd take the partycade and put it on a hill and you just kind of give it a tap, and he wanted a long shot scene of the partycade sliding down.
But it'd be like, woo! Like the party cave would be like, yeah, I'm finally off the wall. But the cool thing is like how depressed if you were a party cave, because you came with feet. Someone ripped your feet off to put you on the wall. So now you're like depressed because the one thing you had is gone. Like you're
right.
like, I could have done stuff. I could have had this whole life, but you stuck me on the wall. And then imagine in the skit, the partycade sees the whole family of the house going to go skiing or snowboarding.
He really
Super
wants-
depressed.
That's
I
right.
used to have skis. I had them. Justin ripped them off me to put me on the wall. Like it'd be such an awesome skit. I'm
Right.
sorry. Just
I was
would.
like, no, I'm not going to do it. So anyway, Todd mentions, he asked the question with Back to the Future 4, what music would they use in Back to the Future 4? And that's kind of the point, right? Like it doesn't work, because if he's going to go back in time 30 years ago, he's going to go back to the 80s. So what was invented in the 80s that the future Marty would claim he went back and created? Like it's not funny. Like Chuck Berry, like that joke works, right?
Yeah.
To be like he goes
No,
back in the
totally.
future and invents hip hop or something. Like I don't know how it's
Someone
gonna work.
said grunge.
Grunge, I guess.
I don't know. It'd be tough. I'm sure some good writer somewhere could come up with something good, right?
I guess they could. But then like it would probably be cheesy, right? Like you'd have to.
It's gonna be tough because dude. Let's just
Hey
face
Marvin, it's your cousin Marvin Berry. You know that new sound you're looking for? Well, listen to this.
I love that part.
It's so good.
So, dude,
I remember, watching that when I was 5 years old, and I'm like, "Who's Chuck Berry?" Like my
Yeah,
family
exactly.
had to explain. Well, Chuck Berry is this artist, Anyway,
Dude, what was your? All right, you asked me earlier, and I'll answer for everyone here. But what was your favorite scene of the movie? Favorite scene of your favorite Back to the Future movie?
there's different ways to do it. Like favorite scene to quote.
No, you gotta do like favorite. It could be a talking scene. It could be a visual from the movie, but it has to be. You have to tell me what movie, and then you have to tell me what section of that movie. Whether maybe it's not talking, whatever
Okay.
it is.
Okay. I'll tell you, it's Back to the Future 2.
Okay.
Which I told you the best movie was number 1, but my favorite scene, it's Zohar. It's the hoverboard scene. It's actually that scene when all Marty says is the future. He's walking down the alley, and because I remember seeing the commercial, the trailer, and it was kind of like they only showed the future for a little bit. And I remember, like, my parents own a cleaning business, and we cleaned the theater. And so we actually got to see Batman, a week before it was actually released, because everyone who like worked at the theater could go there. My parents had a janitorial business, and so we were invited. We could go. So when Back to the Future came out and Star Trek 4, I think, like we got to go see those early, and I was so excited. And I was so excited for that one scene of what the future is going to look like, And of course, as a kid, 8, 9 years old, whatever, I was like, this is someone's idea of what the future would be, right? And it's a possible future. And that scene where the camera goes in and finally reveals.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's a
like
cool scene.
that town center,
That's a pretty cool scene.
What was yours?
You put some thought into that one. I like that.
Mhm.
Well, while you were telling me your scene, which I think that's a very good scene, and I would put that high in my list. But
Everybody
I
started
decided,
thinking of their favorite scene, by the way, because we're going to be reading them in a minute.
I
Go ahead, Ralph.
decided to pull the clip at the same time. I didn't tell you I was going to pull the clip.
All
but I
right, let's
decided
do
I
it.
would. So this is my favorite scene, and it's a part of a bigger scene, but it's my favorite part. Let me make sure I actually have the right clip first.
Okay, while you do that, Sean Powers has an amazing comment. He meets Steve Jobs, hands him a Walkman, and tells him how it could be better. That's good, man. That's really good.
Okay. This is my favorite scene, and I'll tell you why after we watch it together. Okay. It should have audio, hopefully, if I don't screw this up.
Okay.
It's like literally giving me goosebumps right now, and it's not yet. It is this. This is the whole scene, but this part in particular, like I don't know what it is. I have goosebumps on my arm from this. It's this part that's coming up.
It's Christopher Lloyd's amazing acting, right?
Yes,
How he
it's this.
pulls off
It's
the
this.
scene perfect.
I love it. Like I freaking love it. Like I don't know, it just makes me like emotional watching it. I love that.
It's
scene.
so true, right? Because we know of Doc Brown in 1985 as being an unsuccessful inventor. His entire life, he couldn't really invent anything that worked. But because of these different events, in 1955, he gets to witness an experiment that was his idea when he was younger succeed. Like it worked. His best friend made it back to the future. He's pretty certain.
And it's weird because it's weird for me, that scene, because you're like, kind of, at least for me, I'm kind of sad for Doc because I'm like, man, he has in that time period, he has this friend. He doesn't.
Well,
he's
remember,
like
that's what he says. Remember when he gives him a hug? Marty's all like, "Why?" It's like, "Why are you giving me this hug?" He's like, in about 30 years, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
I hope so.
I don't know. Is it weird? Do you guys think I'm lame for being emotional over Back to the
no,
Future? Because
he
it
says
actually
the
makes
line,
me
right?
emotional.
He says, he's like, I can't believe I have to wait 30 years to tell you what happens in the next couple days.
Yeah, it's
he spent a week with his now best friend.
Yeah.
It's kind of like flying out to CES and spending an entire week with someone that you've grown to really like.
You didn't know.
And then all of a sudden you're like, hey, that was a lot of fun. We spent literally a week together, and then see you later, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, dude, so maybe this is getting too deep, but maybe it's because you're so impressionable when you're a kid, but you envision yourself being the characters, I think, as a kid, and you see Marty doing these things that you're like, oh my gosh, like that'd be so cool if I could really do that in real life. And it'd be so cool if I had this like nerdy friend that I could hook my guitar amp up and like go to his house and he has all this crazy stuff. Like it sounds weird, but like there's part of you at that age where you're like, oh my gosh, like Doc was the coolest old guy ever. Right. But if I told my son, like, yeah, imagine you're this teen who's a skateboarder and you hang out with this old weird scientist guy, he'd be like, that's weird. But the movie does such a good job making that not weird, right? There's nothing weird about that relationship.
Yeah. Let's talk about that more in a second. Let's catch up on these super chats. So Zohar, thank you so much for the super chat. He says, Justin, if you want my 1-to-1 hoverboard, it's yours. If I want it, I want it, but I don't think I want to take yours, Zohar. Like, I think send me a link to the one you got. Maybe I'll put it on my wish list. How about that? And then we got Stranger Films. Thanks again so much. He says crazy
drunk
pedestrians. It's so great because a great actor, great scene. Zohar again. That's how I scream when Ralph texts me.
That's funny.
That's right. So let's talk about this. So the other day, and it's another reason why I failed to mention this earlier, and I'm going to bring it up again. Here's why a reboot or a Back to the Future 4 or some type of bringing it back could work. I was talking to a mutual friend of Ralph and I who's a young kid. He's about 23 years old.
We featured his chat. You featured his message.
Oh, just a moment ago?
No, we featured his message in the beginning because he said he's never seen the movie. He needs to see it. And then a bunch of people were like, you didn't see it. You didn't see it.
Yeah.
So
that's him. I was having a conversation with that guy, and I was like, hey, we're talking about kind of like Back to the Future. And he's like, oh, I've never seen it. And I was like, wait, you've never seen Back to the Future? I was like, how old are you? And he's like, I'm 23. And I'm like, have you? And he goes, I've also never seen Star Wars. And I was like, what? Like, there's certain movies like you should see, right? And so then he's like, well, what's it about? And I'm like, oh my God, I've never explained Back to the Future to somebody. I guess I explained it to Evelyn, my daughter, at some point, but like, here's someone who should have seen it, I guess. Like, am I wrong for judging him for not seeing it? I don't know. But anyway, the interesting point is how when I then try to explain it, I'm like, okay, so it's about this guy who goes back in time and meets his dad, who's the same age as him, but interrupts it's the day that his dad would meet his mom and they would fall in love. But because he went back in time, his mom and dad don't meet. But instead, he meets the mom, the son does, and the mom falls in love with his own son, which kind of makes sense because it's it's her son, so he has traits of the father. But it's not weird. Don't worry, it's not weird. The movie works. It's not creepy. It works. He's like, this movie sounds creepy, and I'm like, no, it works. And then there's a school bully that's also trying to get with the mom. But don't worry, it's not creepy. It works, And so I'm explaining. And then there's this old man. There's this old man. Yeah, this old man who's a scientist who actually builds the time machine. But he's in the future and in the past. And in the past version, he's like, well, how old is this guy? I don't know. He's like 100 or something. Nobody knows. No one knows how old this guy is, right? So back in the 50s, he's not yet he's an inventor, but not a great one. Anyway, it's hilarious trying to explain Back to the Future to someone who's never seen it. And that's when it dawned on me. I have the same experience real quick with my child with Star Wars. Which movie, I know what everyone's going to say. Which movie should you see? Should you show your child for Star Wars first? And the right answer is 4, right? Everyone knows you're supposed to show your child Star Wars 4, A New Hope, right? Episode 4. And I did that. And she liked it. And then 5, and then 6, and then we got to 1. And she went nuts for episode 1. And here I am going, you can't go nuts for episode 1. You have to go nuts for episode 4. But what the reality is, I was older when I saw episode 4, right? I wasn't 5. My daughter was 5 when she saw episode 1. She thought Jar Jar Binks was amazing. And that's when I realized I had this moment where, I can't talk bad about my own child. I can't say my child's stupid. And that's when I realized, I was like, you know what? Different experiences for different people. If my daughter wants to love Jar Jar Binks, she's going to love Jar Jar Binks. Yeah, you know what? From her point of view, and then I watched it again from her point of view. Episode 1 is an awesome movie. If you watch it from her point of view.
Yeah. Well, everyone's going to have a different experience, right?
Her Ewok. Other people watch Ewoks. They're like, why are you going crazy about Ewoks? It's like, well, because the age I was when I saw it. And so that's what I'm saying. But there's this new generation of people that haven't seen Back to the Future and don't even know about the story. So what are we going to do about it? You know what we're going to do about it? We're going to make an entire episode about it.
You need to read the Stringer Films comment. That's actually wicked messed up. So Stringer Films said that's when Justin told her she was adopted. I'm sorry. There's something we need to talk about right now. Can you imagine that?
Clearly,
Dad.
Clearly, you were adopted.
Wait, how old would she have been? Because could you even have made that joke, or would she have been like?
I don't know. All right.
So we do have one thing that I'm trying to get him to call in. So I know it has nothing to do with Back to the Future, but we had promised. I don't know if you guys had seen this on the show, and when we mentioned it, I think we'd gone back and forth. But we had talked to Zohar about. Zohar's clearly anybody that watches our channel knows that Zohar is this crazy Mortal Kombat fan. And I had said to him yeah, I know,
he likes
right?
Mortal Kombat?
Yeah. So I'd said to him we'll build you a Mortal Kombat. We will build you a Mortal Kombat that's what you think is a super Mortal Kombat. But I wanted to have him on the show so he could come on and give us first of all, I guess why he loves Mortal Kombat so much. He's not gonna have video. He said he's too shy for video. Sorry, but he said he'll do audio. So maybe we could have him on for a second. Give him we have about 5 or 6 minutes. So let's bring him on. Ask him why he loves, because we're super fans of Back to the Future. He's a super fan of Mortal Kombat. I want to know why is he the super fan of Mortal Kombat, and then ask him what would the perfect Mortal Kombat cabinet look like for him. Is that cool?
Yeah, let's do this.
All right, let's bring.
So everyone, real quick, let's give ones for Zohar. All right, this is our way of clapping, letting him on the show.
Yeah, making him feel comfortable.
Make him feel comfortable about this.
Yeah, he's part of the crew. Want to make him feel comfortable.
All right, so are you there, Zohar?
I'm going to get him in here. Right, 1 second.
Let's do this.
Zohar, are you there?
I don't know where I am or who I am or what's going on, but I don't know where I am or who I am or what's going on. Can you hear me?
You're here. You're live on the One Up Weekly with me and Justin.
Wow. This is insane. My heart is beating out of my chest, so I don't know.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I'll calm down. I need like
We're
a minute to
we're
calm down.
B or C actors at best. So I mean, you're not dealing with this is like you're not really
this
dealing
is
with
the
any
thing.
kind of.
I'm watching both of you guys on TV, and I'm like talking to my phone, and I'm like, okay, this is happening. I guess it's happening.
Zohar,
right.
we got to know. Okay, first of all, we got to know like why what we've kind of given our our hearts out about Back to the Future, why we love it. Like, what is this connection to Mortal Kombat? Tell us. We want to know.
It's that kind of thing. Oh shit, I'm not prepared. Oh, I'm not allowed to cuss either, huh? I guess I just did. Okay.
Yeah, right.
It's all right, Zohar.
Yeah,
you'll be all right.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat is awesome, dude. I played that. I think I ditched 7th and 8th grade just to play Mortal Kombat across junior high school. It was insane. It was the first game that I saw like digitized human beings and blood and fatalities, and it was just like this. How is this possible? You're not allowed to play this game. It was such like a taboo type of deal, and I always remember like sneaking out of class to go play it, and it spawned all these Senate hearings and the ESRB ratings. And like it started like before this game, there were no ratings for video games. It was just for movies, and this game is like a trailblazing pioneer type of deal. And so like the original Mortal Kombat is just a very nostalgic for me. So
that's so cool. I love that. See, like that's cool. Everyone's got that thing, right? I mean, everyone has that game, movie, whatever it is. So all right, so if we were going to build, well, actually, don't just say if we're going to build this cab, so one way or another.
Why? Why? I don't deserve it, man.
So let us tell you about that. So what you may not know is when we were at CES, you know, Ralph and I were trying to build this idea where we were going to do the One Up Weekly. This idea of us doing this kind of podcast video thing. And you were a huge supporter from day one. Wow. So much, your influence was so great that while we were at CES, we kept on talking about Zohar, the Zohar. We literally would have breakfast and say, okay, what are we going to, because we had this idea that we're going to go and talk to Arcade 1-Up, and Ralph's all like, how are we going to do this? And I was like, I want to actually interview either David McIntosh or John D and get facts. Let's do this. And we went through the list of all of the questions. And so we went back to the chat, and all the really, really great questions were yours.
Wow, a lot of them. Are awesome, man.
We had to go through and look for questions. But you actually asked questions, you know, and that's great. A lot of people in the audience, they will make comments and questions, but you had some really good ones. And so there's like the video, you know, with John D and there's girls all around him.
Yeah, a lot of those questions were yours.
Those were your questions, man. Or like other questions that we came up with. What's that?
Wait, what?
That guy doesn't like me.
Why do you think?
Now. Well, you know, he's an interesting character because when we met John D, and the thing about him, just for a second we can talk about it, he's trying to be super professional but also engaging to the audience at the same time. So there's certain things he can't say necessarily because he is
I get
like an executive of Arcade 1-Up. Like, remember we asked the question like, what's your favorite game? And he's like, I can't really say. It's because publishers may be watching this and he can't show favoritism. So I think there's some of that going on. Anyway, so let's get back on track. So, RetroRalph, Mortal Kombat.
Yes. So, all right. So we got to figure out. So Zohar, I have my view as to what I think the perfect if it's an Arcade 1-Up. I think it has to have, you know, probably hap. It probably has to have hap competition sticks. You know, things like that. Yeah. So like, what are the things that? Because I know you had said, man, it only has one speaker. It should have stereo sound. So give us like the 2-second.
Well, yeah, because Mortal Kombat is such an influential game. It only has like, it needs to get the respect it deserves. You know, it needs to be honored the way it needs to be honored. And there's like no bass. The Arcade 1-Up MK Cab, it's a great machine, but it has one speaker and no volume control. Like it's either very loud or very, 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 very deafening loud. You know what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the whole game, 50% of the game is like the uppercuts and that scorpion spear going through the chest. There's like a bass. There's like none of that.
Okay, so it has to have good sound.
I think it's like
and in your opinion, would it be a Mortal Kombat 1, Mortal Kombat 2 design, like for the artwork?
Oh my God, the artwork. Am I allowed to ask for this? Is this a lot?
Yeah, we're building you a cab, Bud. We're building you a cab.
Oh God, dude.
We want to know what the specs are going to be. Aim high, bud.
I mean, if it's too expensive, can I help pay for it if it's
Let's
too
not talk about
expensive,
that.
the artwork?
Money, Zohar,
okay.
money
Okay.
is no object here
Sorry.
at the What Up Weekly. You should know that. I'm just kidding.
No, how about you tell us what your dreams are,
actually-
and we'll try. We'll do our best.
Okay. All right. You asked for it, and now you're gonna get it. I'm sorry. All
right, good.
Okay, let's do it.
See what he did there?
Yeah. The Back to the
Ralph
Future.
still
Okay,
hasn't
anyway,
figured it out. I'll tell him
did
later.
Justin get that? Okay.
I got it.
Okay, good. Yeah, the side artwork of Johnny Cage, like the original one, that yellow dragon is ingrained in my stupid 13-year-old head since I was, 12, 13. That kick, his face, that look on his face, are you kidding me? That's what Mortal Kombat is.
Okay.
I love that artwork. I know no one is going to agree with me. Everyone loves MK2 1,000 times more, but for me, MK1 is like a masterpiece.
Okay, so
And that artwork-
MK1 artwork. All right.
Okay.
I feel you on
Oh my
that.
God, that's insane. Yeah.
So-
So
And
I
Justin,
don't know.
did I can't remember. The MK2 would have the Wave 1 monitor too, right? It didn't have the BOE, so it doesn't really have a great monitor.
Right. And the Costco bundle, I think, maybe has the BOE
Yeah,
4x3.
it does. The Costco does.
Right. And it does
Yeah,
have a
it has
stereo
a
line out.
slightly better contrast, slightly better color, slightly better everything.
That's right. So what
Yeah.
about now are you looking for a multi like a multicade where it has like all Mortal Kombat games, or would you prefer
Not-
like
You know what? Honestly, I just want the first one, man. I know it's insane.
Okay.
People in chat are probably going crazy.
Yeah.
No, ask for 1, 2, 3. Ask for.
I think
just want
I think
one.
we know what we need to do, Ralph, right?
I think we know too.
Yeah.
And All right. I think we know. We got this.
What do you mean?
So just
Okay.
trust us.
All right, so do us a
Okay.
favor. Do us a favor. So we're gonna put this together. We're gonna work on it. It's gonna take some time. We're both busy people. And then Ralph, do you want to go say the next thing? What we'll do for him?
You guys don't have to do this though.
Yeah, so we were thinking, since I'm not that far from, I think you're in Los Angeles, we're gonna like literally film it being delivered to you. So
Are you serious?
And you have to show your face then. We don't know timelines. It might take a little while because of all the other stuff going on in our lives. I'm getting married, but like we're gonna somehow get it there. But we want to do it like in person. So I think that'd
That
be
would-
cool.
You guys are gonna see my crappy apartment. Awesome.
And you just have to let us know if we have to get up a flight of stairs because that's all we have to know.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Really?
Yeah,
That's
Wow,
the
my
plan.
voice went really high up on that.
Really?
All right. Well, dude, we're gonna wrap the show up, but we'll be in contact. Obviously, you have me on Facebook and all that stuff, and we'll figure out what to do from here forward. But I think we have a good
Can I
base.
just like
Yeah,
super
so-
chat you some like $100?
No.
No.
Do not super
No.
chat us $100. Do
Nope.
not do that. Seriously, please don't do that.
Tell you what we're gonna
I feel
do.
bad though, man.
No, don't
do
I
that.
feel bad.
Don't do that. You're a huge Mortal Kombat fan. I want to let everyone else in the chat know, people that are going to watch this video, if you love Mortal Kombat even a little bit as much as Zohar does, he has put together a really awesome fan group on Facebook. So
Whoa.
go check it out.
It's
It's
too much.
join
It's
his
too
group
much.
because he's actually producing a lot of content that I joined the group and I didn't know. It's actually really cool. It's a nice stream of feeds of Mortal Kombat history. And I think you're doing a really great job.
Yeah, you're doing
with
a
that.
great job with that.
Wow.
With that. So
Wow.
if you guys are
Thank you.
interested
This
in that
is
type
way,
of content, go check
way
it out.
Too much. This is
We'll
way
have
Right,
link in the
Zohar.
description to that group after the show.
All right, we will. Zohar, we gotta just wrap the show up. So I'm gonna we're
Wow,
just
you
gonna
guys
say
are
goodbye
awesome.
real quick. You're awesome. We'll be in contact around the rest of the stuff, but I think Justin and I have a really good baseline of what we're gonna do. So we
Yeah.
feel pretty good
This
about
is
it.
so insane. This is insane.
So,
Yeah,
dude,
again,
thank
Zohar,
you so much.
Thank you
I
for the
can't feel my
support.
legs.
You can't feel your legs? Okay, that's not good.
Can't feel my legs.
All right. Well, Kim, my fiance, she works in urgent care. We'll write up some symptoms list. We'll get you hooked up there too. All right, Zohar, we gotta wrap it up. So we'll talk to you soon. But
Okay.
thanks for coming on. Okay.
Guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
Zohar.
All right,
All right,
give it up for Zohar.
Yeah,
Thanks,
give it up for
guys.
Zohar. That was
All right.
awesome. He did. All right, so Justin, we got a couple last super chats and then we got to go. So
That's right.
Jason said the best scene in line from Back to the Future is when Doc Brown shows his car for the first time. This is actually I wasn't thinking this is an awesome scene.
Yeah.
When he says, if my calculations are correct, when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious beep That is an awesome scene. That actually
Yep.
is awesome. I agree. And that's a crazy super chat. Thank you so much, Jason. I want to make sure we got to that. But that is a killer scene. I
Yep.
also remember like the controller was awesome too. Like, cause at the time RC cars were like super hot. And I was thinking at like, oh man, that controller is so cool. So that's an awesome one. And then we have another one from Stringer Films. Thank you. Oh shoot, we didn't ask him. Oh crap. We just
Well,
totally
he's still
messed
here.
that
He
super
can
chat
comment
up.
below.
Yeah.
Zohar, show your answer this super chat for us down below in the comments. That'd be great. If he can feel his legs again.
Yeah, so ask Zohar how pumped he was when the magazines would come out with the new secret moves every month. I used to ride my bike to the video rental place to play Mortal Kombat. That's so cool. I just love, this is so neat. Like, Justin and I had been talking about this for a while, and there is something that's kind of cool. Like, if I can pull off what Justin and I talked about for this Zohar cab, it's going to be really neat. So
That's right.
I'm pretty excited.
So
for
Brian
it.
says something pretty interesting. You guys ever visit the Puente Hills Mall? And I'll tell you, one of the reasons I moved to LA, I'm from Iowa, moved to LA, lived there for a couple of years. And of course, while I was there, I hit every spot. It took me forever because internet was a little fuzzy back in the day. There wasn't like really good websites out there for different filming locations. It took me a long time to find the Marty McFly house. Like literally, I was an installer for Dish, so I would like drive around installing dishes on people's houses, and when I was in the area, I could sense it. I sensed I was near Marty's house. I would see, I would see the electrical lines, and I'm like, this is the valley. This is where it's
Wait,
at.
you actually did this?
Yeah, back when
I haven't done any of that, dude.
Yeah,
That's
so
jealous. That's
then
so
I would talk to
cool.
different people, and again, I'd go online. There wasn't really much talking about. Hey, Scott, yeah, I'm in Johnston, right here in Des Moines. Like that's where I live. So, there was someone in the chat who says where in Iowa. He's in Des Moines.
I
Yeah,
saw that.
I'm
Yeah,
right
I
here
saw
in
it.
the city. So, yeah. So then someone was like, yeah, dude, Whittier High School. That's where they filmed the high school. So I went by there. It was always like, when I was doing installs, they would like, put me in different neighborhoods. And so like I got like I needed to do an install at the Sears in Whittier. And I was like, oh, this is so great. I would go by. But here's what's funny. Like even in the mid 2000s, I drive by Whittier High School and I'm like, it's kind of the bad 1985 high school. Like, and this was the mid 2000s. Like, and then later I found out like they remember the scene. He's like, wow, looks like they cleaned this place up. Looks brand new. They literally had to do that to the Whittier High School, even in the 80s, I heard, because it was like, it was really nice looking, but it was really dirty. And it was like when I saw it, there was like bars in front of it because it's like Whittier, California. And it was like, wait, do we live in alternate 1985?
That's actually hilarious. So Justin, we gotta
I
wrap
visited
up soon.
a lot of those locations, but dude, if we go to LA for E3, I was thinking, I was going to tell you this, like we'll come in an extra day early, like on Sunday or something.
You realize that
hit all the locations.
You realize that like we were basically talking about how we're not going to go to E3, and now you're back at you're back at E3. I think we have to go to E3. It's
We have to go to E3. What do you guys think? Do we have to go to E3? Give us a 1 because you're going to motivate us to just do it.
And if we went to E3, we'd cover it like we did CES. It would be like nightly shows, recaps, all that stuff.
It's really tough because we were doing the calculations. If my calculations are correct, we're going to lose a lot of money.
When we go to
E3,
we're going to be freaking broke.
That's right, because CES, obviously, you guys know the YouTube gig, it pays a little, but it doesn't pay like, $5,000.
Yeah. So to put it into perspective, Justin, I knew who Justin was then, but we weren't like doing this show or anything at that time. And I went to E3 last year, and I had a ton of points for travel for work, so I was able to sort of pay for the trip through that. But had I not had those, which this year I won't because I don't travel as much, it was like almost $500 a night for the hotel. Like that's crazy, and it was
Maybe
nowhere
we'll just go
near
stay
the
with Zohar.
Yeah, and it wasn't like I stayed in some extravagant hotel. It was like whatever, like kind of crappy. So, anyways, but yeah, it gets expensive. E3. We'll see. I think we might be able to do it. We got a super chat, another super chat. Thank you so much. I don't know that is it Yukon? Yeah, Yukon. Thanks so much, dude. Appreciate that. Oh, we have another super chat. Oh, thanks. Thanks for making Sundays great again. Stringer Films, we love you, man. You're such a huge supporter. Thank you so much. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. I forgot to give a shout out to Scott Baccarat. Well, you really butchered Scott's name, but I butchered it a bunch of times. I think it's Scoot Bacra.
Yeah, about that, like Zohar was kind of going crazy on Facebook about all the, and I don't know if you read that post. Scott's all like, we get it, it. We hear you. So if I have to say, because literally going back to the point, we're going back to Mortal Kombat.
We missed a super chat. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to find it, but there was someone one by Andrew. Okay, sorry, dude. Thank you for. I don't remember who put in that we missed it, but Andrew says thanks, Ralph, Justin, and Zohar. Great interview. Yeah, thanks so much, man. Really appreciate that. This was really fun. Justin and I were really nervous about. I mean, to be honest, we were a little nervous about this episode because, like, we didn't really talk about games. We didn't talk about Arcade 1-Up. We didn't talk about any of that. So. But you guys proved to us in prior episodes that you're interested in really hearing anything that has to do with retro, and we appreciate that because this is a really fun episode for us to do. And you guys have been so engaged the whole time. So, I think what this says to us that we can lead in other directions that have, that go maybe away from gaming a little bit, but are more pop culture and stuff like that. So we're pretty excited about being able to do that and expand what we cover on this show.
That's right. So if you agree with that, you enjoy us kind of exploring different things of content. And I think a lot of us have similar tastes and flavors, so we're going to try to explore that. Yeah, thank you for the ones. That's what I was going to ask. And give us a thumbs up on the video if you enjoyed the content for today. We're going to keep on. It's a little tough. Like, we have to spend a lot of time thinking through and preparing and coming up with topics and trying to do some research and to try to make this show entertaining. And we're gonna try to get better each week, And yeah, what else you got, Ralph?
I think that's it. I think we're like, Zohar, you guys are making my dreams come true. Seriously. Well, Zohar, we're here to make dreams come true, one way or the other. That sounded so corny. No, it's one of those things. It literally goes back to Justin and I having a conversation at CES at like we were having like some egg bites or some crap at a Starbucks. So
wait, hey, just to let you know, you're right. We only have 125 viewers and 0 game talk. That's proof, guys. So we really appreciate that. And then it came from Mark, the genius behind everything that has to do with Facebook. So that's awesome. That wasn't sarcasm. That sounded like sarcasm, didn't it? But
it really did. Why
here's the real sarcasm. I didn't mean it that way. But here's the real sarcastic joke. Lewis saying, "Yes, please improve."
When someone says jerk, sometimes it makes me think that one scene from Home Alone where the uncle goes, "Look what you did, you little jerk." To Kevin. Right. I don't know why. Whenever it says jerk, I always think of that.
Oh, hey, look. I just typed 38 in the wrong box. So it's like you.
So Justin and I are logged in together. So what was the 38 for? I don't even know.
Yeah, people are asking me.
All right, Zohar, stop it. No more from you. No more. You stop. Okay. Anyways, all right, Justin, we got to wrap it up. But I think I almost feel like, hold on, I think we need to like close with the song, just because. Not my song. I know you hate that song.
But I don't hate the song. Okay,
no,
come on.
You hate it. It's
we
fine.
can end with the song, but we have to end with one motivational talk really quick. And it's from George McFly. And, look, everyone down there in the chat, if you enjoyed this chat by Ralph and I, just remember, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything.
Can you hear it?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And we don't even care if we get a copyright strike.
I love it. I'll never get sick of it. It will be with me forever. Like Zohar, Mortal Kombat will be with you forever. All right. We got to go, guys. This was so
much.
Fun.
We really appreciate it. And we'll see you next week.
On the next one. That's it. Thanks, guys.